Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bootleg, a Tennessee and high school football show where we've been talking high school football all season long. Folks, we have reached the state championships. So I want to start with, and we're not going to go in the order they're being played. We're just going to go chronological 1A through 6A, and then we'll go D2A, AA, and AAA. We're going to make our predictions. And when we make our predictions, if you see a star, who's the stars in that game? I guess is what I want to ask you guys as you make your predictions. We're going to start in 1A, and I'll start it off. You've got South Pitt playing Fayetteville. South Pitt is the storied program, but they haven't won it in a while. I think it's like 2010 since the last time they won a state title or somewhere around there. But they've been the favorite multiple years since then. They just haven't made it here. They're back. They've got a couple of big time Mr. Football candidates. Of course, the big one is Hunter Frame. The running backs had a great season there, and they're the favorite. They play Fayetteville. I believe this is only their 8th season. I believe they had to drive had to get to Lake County last week to win there. Fayetteville, of course, a year ago they did not make the playoffs. They were going to be undefeated, but they had an ineligible player and took out all the region wins, and they didn't make the playoffs. So to me, they're kind of the story to watch. I'm not going to pick them to win, but I'm hoping from a writer standpoint, they're the team you want to win because it's just a phenomenal story of after last year to this year. I'm going to pick South Pitt 35-14. A kid I think you need to watch for from Fayetteville is KJ Jackson. He's just a freshman running back. He's their best offensive weapon from what I've seen this season. Joe Spears, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I've got South Pitt winning this one 34-24 in a game that they really just control from the beginning. I think Fayetteville may score a couple of touchdowns in the fourth quarter. But like you said, Hunter Frame, I think he's too much. South Pitt's really rolled this year outside of that one loss to Meigs County. So they're playing well, and I think they finally get that championship that's been eluding them these last couple of years.
Michael Odom.
You took my score. I said that it would be South Pitt 35-14. I think Hunter Frame rushes for over 200 yards and kind of shows why he's a Mr. Football finalist and possibly the winner.
All our scores are pretty similar. I'm going South Pitt 31-14. I was pretty amazed at looking at their championship history that they haven't had a state title since 2010, as good as they've been the last several years. But I'm with the rest of the guys. I think it's going to be a running game. I think South Pitt's going to try to control the clock, control the ground game. I think Hunter Frame's going to have a huge contest.
And while we're talking about South Pitt, of course, we cannot forget the other Mr. Football finalist on that team, Jared Stone, an offensive lineman and I believe a middle linebacker. He's had a great season as well. What has the buddy informed you of who's going to win this game, Aaron?
I have South Pitt. All our scores are basically the same. I have South Pitt 37, Fayetteville 14. Fayetteville has struggled on defensively stopping teams and holding teams to low scores. South Pitt has scored at least 37 points in every playoff game so far. I just don't see how Fayetteville can stop South Pitt's offense.
George Robinson, do you believe in the Tigers?
Not this year. I have South Pitt winning this one 31-21. Like you said, Hunter Frame, I think he had 161 yards rushing last week in that semifinal game against Coalfield. So, I think he'll continue this hot streak this week with another 100-yard performance to get South Pitt that state title.
I think we give a lot of credit to South Pitt. And obviously, they've had a great season, but it's been 10 years since they've won a title. So, the good thing is, if you're Fayetteville, it's their first time ever. Nobody on this South Pitt team has ever witnessed what it's like going to Cookeville and playing for a championship. Kari, help me out. Who are you picking?
I'm taking South Pitt, man. They've got a streak going. They've scored 37 or more in all their playoff games, so I'm picking them to continue that. Let's go 42-28 South Pitt.
2A, Peabody. Two-time defending state champion Peabody. Last year in 2A, I believe, Peabody. Playing Meigs County. I think there's a rematch maybe from last year. Michael Odom, who do you have? This is your game. This is your team. Can Meigs County stop the Golden Tide?
I don't think so. Both of these teams are a lot different from last year. Both of them lost Mr. Football finalists. and Aaron Swafford from Meigs County and Cooper Bogus, who won the award at Peabody. I think it's a close game, just like last year. I have Peabody winning 27-13 as Mr. Football finalist Khalid Ganaway scores twice in the second half to help them kind of pull away for win number 37 for the Golden Tide. Longest active winning streak in the state, 8th in the nation.
And they go to 1A next year, correct?
Yes, they will drop down to 1A next year.
That doesn't seem fair. Joe Spears.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Michael on this one. I mean, Peabody, these last couple of years, they've been the class of 2A. And even though it's a completely different team from last year, I mean, Cooper Bogus isn't there, Jarrell Dixon. It seems like they just reload. I mean, they got a young quarterback in Sam Driggers who, to start the year, had 4 pick sixes or something like that. But since then, he's really turned things around. The Golden Tide's rushing attack is really good, led by Khalid Ganaway, who had a monster game last week against Waverly. So I think Peabody wins this 28-17. I think it's close, kind of like last year, but in the fourth quarter, they pull away.
Cecil?
I'm going with the flow again on this one. I've got 28-14 Peabody. I think the best chance of keeping Peabody from winning a state championship this year was a couple of weeks ago when they almost got upset. That didn't happen. The win streak goes to 37, and Ganaway will run for at least 2 scores.
Is the buddy thinking something else? Is Buddy the bunny thinking anything else there, Aaron?
He's thinking about how much he hates his new fedora. But I thought about picking Meigs County just because Meigs did beat South Pittsburgh in the regular season. I think Cecil mentioned it in our first bootleg in the playoffs that if you can beat South Pittsburgh, you're probably pretty good. But I just couldn't come to picking Meigs County. I have Peabody winning 30-14. I have Ganaway running for at least 150 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I'm going to go ahead and give my pick because I've been sitting here and I'm thinking, and I've told you all before off camera that I didn't have an upset. I looked and looked, I just didn't see it. I've been thinking. I changed my mind, folks. I've made a game time decision. I'm going to go Meigs County 21, Peabody 20, and Cecil Joyce gets the credit if I pick this right because he mentioned the Meigs County win over South Pitt. I think that's a quality win. I think Meigs County is going to end Peabody's reign in 2A, send them down to 1A as the 2A runner-up. 21-20, they're going to find a way to slow down Ganaway, and they're going to win the title. And Will Meadows, remember that name. He's also a Mr. Football finalist along with the Ganaway kid, and he's going to be the difference maker 21-20. So, Kari, you want to stay on my train, or you going to go with the other?
No, we're taking the 2A gold ball down to West Tennessee, man. I'm on the same page as Cecil, 28-14. Peabody.
George?
I'm going with the majority here and say that you're going to be wrong, Tom. Looking at both of these teams in Peabody and Meigs, I mean, the thing that strikes me is just how good both these teams' offenses are. So I think it's going to be a offensive show, this week for this 2A title. I got Peabody winning this 38-35.
In 3A. We all were rooting for Red Bank last week to see a bald-headed Aaron Torres, I think. It didn't happen. Alcoa won. I think Alcoa is the favorite this week. Aaron, can we just push that bet, that deal to this week too? Can we shave your head at Tucker Stadium if Alcoa loses? We'll start with you.
No, that's not happening. I need a full head of hair for Christmas, especially if I'm going to see my family. I have Alcoa winning 30-10 over Milan. I just don't see how Milan can run on Alcoa's defense, especially its defensive line. That defensive line dominates everyone, not named Maribel at least. And even Maribel wasn't able to run the ball very well against Alcoa's defensive line. So I have Alcoa winning 30-10 over Milan. Ahmad Sankey runs for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns in the win for Alcoa.
Surely, as much as a supporter of Anthony Brown that he has been all year, Michael Odom, surely you're going to tell me how Milan is going to end Alcoa's reign in 3A.
Last week, everybody counted Milan out. Pearl Cone, so many SEC players, and they were so great. Milan scored 27 unanswered on them. This week, Alcoa. It's a bigger beast, but I think that Alcoa gets the better of Milan. I think they keep it close. I think it's a lot closer than people think. I think Kadarius Easley is a difference maker. I know I talk Anthony Brown, but this running back, like I said last week, he lifts weights in cowboy boots. And I think he's going to have a big game against Alcoa. He's going to keep it close, and Alcoa will pull away in the fourth quarter for a 31-14 win.
Carl Diffie, if you're watching this, know who he predicted, who he picked. I know Anthony Brown's watching this. You know, the Mr. Football finalists there. I cannot believe you've gone down this road. Joe, Milan, do they have a shot?
I think they've got a shot, and I think they keep it close. But, I mean, I think Alcoa just has too much in the end. I've got Alcoa winning 31-21. But I think Anthony Brown has a big game for Milan. And I think Hayden Sullivan, he's the kid that's taken over for quarterback for the Bulldogs. He's really played well since he's transitioned to that. But in the end, I just think Alcoa does too much in the end, and they take it home again.
Okay. George?
Did I not get the memo on how wearing cowboy boots translates to maybe winning a state championship?
It doesn't, evidently. Evidently, it's not going to lose where they're going to lose. You know?
That's the first time I've heard something like that. That's a good one, Michael. But I do, looking at Milan's defense, they haven't given up a lot of points this year. I think maybe the most that they've given up in a single game is, about 25? I think Alcoa gets there. I don't think that it'll be a complete blowout. I think Alcoa will win this state title 29-17. Cowboy boots and all.
Cecil, I haven't forgot you. You're the voice of reason. How can Milan beat
Alcoa? Can be beaten, and they have been beaten in state championship games when people thought they wouldn't be. Ask CPA, it's happened. It's not going to happen this year. If Gary Rankin decides to coach 10 more years at Alcoa, if he has the energy, there's no telling how many state titles he's going to retire with, because he's got a machine going at Alcoa, and I just cannot see them being upended anytime soon. I'm going a pretty big score here, 40-19. I think it would be 16th state title for Rankin, 6th in a row for Alcoa, I believe. And I just can't see any reason why anybody, this is not against anything against Milan. If Pearl Cone would have won that game last week, I still would have picked Alcoa. I think they're just too much. Greg Carroll in that defense, they're hard to stop.
Curry Thompson, Milan, you going with the Bulldogs?
No, I really wanted to pick a shutout, but I chickened out. So I went 28-7 in favor of Alcoa. So make it 6 in a row for the Tornadoes.
Cecil kind of put it in perspective. If Gary wins this game, he'll have 16 titles. He didn't know how many more if he coaches another 10 years. He'll have 26 titles if they coaches another 10 years. I mean, I think they are in official machine status. You look at Pearl Cone going to 4A. I believe Milan is going to 4A next year. Covington stays in 3A though, right?
Right.
But those two going in 4A, I think we're going to see a lot of, potentially a lot of Alcoa and Covington matchups for the next few years until something changes there. I've got Alcoa winning this game, and I gave Milan credit. I think they score 17 points, and which is an achievement with this defense that Alcoa has put together. Greg Carroll is a hoss on the line. He is a monster on that line. Gets through there. He's tough to block. They've got a huge offensive line. I think Milan's going to struggle with their size. I'm picking Alcoa 35-17. Going to 4A, Elizabethton, Haywood. Elizabethton, of course, is going for 30 straight wins. If they win this one, of course, they were undefeated last year. A lot of talent back from last year's championship, playing a Haywood team that I don't think anyone figured would be there. I think Michael was saying it was going to be Springfield going back there all year long. Michael, who do you got in this game? This is Haywood's your team.
Again, Haywood has athletes. They showed that last week when they stopped Lexington's running back, who leads West Tennessee in rushing. But I don't think they have the pass defense to deal with Bryson Rollins. Bryson Rollins is thrown for 2,200 yards for a reason. And I think that's going to be the Achilles heel of Haywood come Saturday. I think Elizabethton continues to roll, and they beat Haywood 31-17.
Okay. Joe Spears, you saw Elizabethton last week against Nolensville. Who do you have winning this game?
I think kind of like Odom said, I mean, Haywood's got the athletes, and I think defensively they can potentially slow down Elizabethton's offense, but man, they're good. They're just whenever they wanted to score last week, they could. Bryson Rollins really does it all. That offense, if they want to score, they'll put up points on you. I'm not sure how Haywood can keep up with that. I think defensively they got some guys to maybe slow Elizabethton down in the first half, but I think they'll wear them out. Kind of similar to what we saw 2 years ago when Haywood played Greenville in the final. So, I mean, I've got Elizabethton winning 45-24 and winning their second straight.
I want to remind you, Bryson Rollins is a Mr. Football finalist in 4A. Troy Parker Hughes, the receiver, I believe, for Elizabethton, he's also a Mr. Football finalist. So 2 out of the 3 top players in the state are from Elizabethton in 4A. The only other place where that's the same, I believe, is South Pitt. They've got 2 kids from South Pitt there, so that's something to think about there. Cecil Joyce.
Yeah, probably as close as you can get to Alcoa in 4A right now is Elizabethton. I mean, they're on that similar path. It seems like every year you can start the season counting on them to win a state championship, and here they are battling for it again. I've got Elizabethton winning 35-13. I think they're going to lean heavily on Rollins, like they did last week in their win over Nolensville. Just a tough team to beat right now. I don't see Haywood doing it.
Aaron Torres.
Because Haywood has athletes, I think it's a close first quarter, but I think ultimately Elizabethton pulls away 38-21. I have Bryson Rollins going for 3 touchdowns and also rushing for 1 in a big game against Haywood.
Kari Thompson.
Let's start with a shout out for Haywood because, Chris Smith has done a great job turning that team around and getting them to the BlueCross Bowl after leaving Germantown, 6A to 4A, getting to make a playoff run. But I got to pick Elizabethton. I think that they're going to get it done. That's my pick.
Well, I'm just going to correct you. 2 years ago, Haywood was in this final, and he took them there. So there wasn't a lot of turning around. Now, he had to put in a brand new program, but he's done a great job. I was kind of surprised. I don't think any of us thought Haywood, because they didn't play many times. How many games on the field did they play, Michael?
6 in the regular season. 3 were losses and 3 were mercy ruled wins.
So I think you said many times, no one really knew anything about this team.
Yeah, I mean, what do you learn from a team when they're either taking starters out at halftime or, struggling against the likes of Henry County, Covington, and South Gibson?
George.
Yeah, I think it's too much Bryson Rollins. I think it's too much Elizabethton. I really feel like we'll know by halftime that Elizabethton has this game wrapped up. I think Haywood probably kind of reels the score back in a little bit in the fourth quarter, but I have Elizabethton, winning this 40-16.
I haven't looked up when the last time. I probably should have, but the East in 4A have been beasts in 4A. You look at Elizabethton the last 2 years. Before that, it was Greenville and Cade Ballard. I don't know who before that, but they have been the team to beat. Whoever comes out of the East has been the team to beat. Elizabethton, 45. Haywood, 14, for a lot of the reasons that you've commented on. And just simply the East, I think, has a better I think the East is a tougher bracket this year and the last 4 years than what the West has been. I think that changes next year with Pearl Cones moving up to 4A and with Milan going to 4A. But I think that's going to raise the level of competition in 4A that, to me, has been needed the last few years. And that's not knocking anyone else there, but it's just Greenville and Anderson County and Elizabethton. Those teams have been so good the last few years. We need to raise that level up in the West Side to kind of equal it out. In 5A, Oak Ridge is the sentimental team with Coach Joe Gaddis, been around forever. Playing Summit, the last year's runner-up. Got the Mr. Football finalist in Destin Wade. I'm going to start with Aaron. Tell me about Oak Ridge and who you picking. Surely you're picking Oak Ridge. Surely you've learned from this. Or maybe Joe Gaddis has begged you not to pick him. I don't know.
I'm picking Summit. Even though Buddy won't be allowed to show his adorable face in Oak Ridge if they win. But, I mean, Summit has Destin Wade, Mr. Football finalists. I just don't see how Oak Ridge's defense can stop Destin Wade. I think he passes for a touchdown and runs for 2 more. And if we are wrong, Buddy, I will be joining Buddy under my dishwasher, hiding from Oak Ridge.
Now, you say if you get this wrong that Buddy cannot show his face in Oak Ridge. What about Buddy's bud, Aaron? Can Aaron show his face if they lose this?
I don't know.
We'll see. All right, Joe Spears. Obviously, our Knoxville person is siding on Summit. Are you going to side with Oak Ridge?
I am not. I'm going to roll with Summit. The Spartans have really been dominant this year outside of that one loss to Franklin. They've played Beach and Henry County in back-to-back weeks, and both were impressive performances. Defensively, they get a big boost. Keaton Wade, he will be back. He will be playing. He played a little bit last week against Henry County. He says he's good to go. He will not only be playing defensively, he said he should play some offensively, and I think that's going to be huge for an offense that's rolling. I mean, he joins his brother, who's really just improved from last year to this year. And I think the Spartans win their first state title. I got them winning 42-21. Destin Wade accounts for 5 touchdowns and over 300 yards of offense.
Kari.
Man, that's big numbers, Joe. That's big numbers, boy. I think it's going to be closer than y'all think. I'm going 21-14, but I'm also picking Summit to pull out the win.
And Mr. Spears or Mr. Robinson.
Yeah, I saw Summit last week against Henry County. It's the first time I got a chance to see him in the Mr. Football finalists in Destin Wade. His brother, like Joe said, his brother came back last week, had a sack against Henry County, playing his linebacker position. But, I think this Oak Ridge Summit matchup is really 2 teams that are very similar. I think Summit's offensive explosion is probably going to get the better of Oak Ridge. And I have them beating Oak Ridge 24-21. I was just really impressed with the way Summit handled themselves after beating Henry County last week. There was some celebration as soon as the final horn happened, but after that, their coach, Summit's coach, made a very, very short speech. Most teams linger out there for what seems like an hour after the game. He made a very short speech. They got off the field, got onto their bus, and they were gone. So I just think that they have a very business-like attitude this time around after those turnovers killed them last year in the state championship game. So I do think Summit's going to pull this out. I think it'll be close, but I do have Summit winning 24-21.
Okay, we're going to speed this up a little bit. Michael Odom, don't think I picked you yet.
Nope. I've got the Wade brothers avenging last year's loss, and Summit wins 35-17.
Cecil Joyce?
I'm going to keep this quick then, but I think all things considered, we thought that the state championship in 5A was going to go through Knoxville. Now Oak Ridge has slipped in there ahead of Knox West and Knox Central. Looks like the beasts of 5A were Middle Tennessee this year with Beach, Henry County, and now Summit. I'm just going to say that this Summit team is a team of destiny. We're going to win this game 30-21. 30-21 Summit.
I don't have a funny little destiny there. I do think Summit wins. I think the biggest thing I've noticed, obviously Destin Wade is the only Mr. Football finalist in the championship game from 5A. The thing I've noticed with Destin Wade this year is a year ago, they relied on him pretty much to either pitch it to his brother or him keep it, and his passing game wasn't tremendous. They had limited routes that they really had success with from what I saw him in the playoffs, and that's semifinals and finals. Destin Wade has developed into a really strong passer this year. I think he gets overlooked a lot because of his way he runs the football so well, and people remind him from last year. But he is a dual threat quarterback, and he's going to be a good one. We get him for another year. He's just a junior. Summit 28, Oak Ridge 21 is my prediction. 6A, last in Division 1, Oakland. Oakland is going to play Brentwood. Rematch of like a game in October where they won 37-0. I'm going to talk about this game, then we're going to go to Cecil, then we'll go around. That game wasn't as close as that 37-0 game was. I know Brentwood had a couple opportunities to score, but Oakland's defense shut them down. I wonder if with having a week to prepare, how much that helps Coach Crawford, but I also know it helps Coach Creasy and Stephen Jackson, the way they prepare. I like what Cade Granzel has done in the playoffs and really all season long. He's such a strong leader for them. We've talked ad nauseum of all the adversity that Brentwood has had to overcome in the playoffs. But when at the end of the day, I think Oakland is just too tough. Oakland 42, Brentwood 21.
Dang, Tom, you stole my pick.
Well, you stole my score. First of all, but
did I?
We'll get to that later.
Okay.
Oakland is ranked nationally by 3 different outlets, including USA Today, where I think they are 19th ranked in the country. That's for good reason. This Oakland team isn't. They weren't reloading. They weren't rebuilding. That they're retooling, and that's what Coach Creasy does every year with his team. Anybody who watched the Maryville Oakland game Friday night had to be impressed with how good this Oakland team really is. They haven't just beaten a bunch of patsies and gotten here on name. That was a very impressive performance by particularly their defense. I mean, honestly, their offense has been doing that all year, but their defense, the way they stepped up, was incredible. Now, I will say Brentwood is a little more full steam for this game. They are a little healthier, got a few less kids out with COVID than they had in the past few weeks. I think Brentwood's going to put up some offense. I like Cade Granzel. I like Walker Merrill and the guys. But Oakland is just too much for any team right now. I think they could play 10 more games against 10 more top-ranked teams and still probably win the state. I'm going to Oakland 42-21. Lots of Jordan James, lots of Antonio Patterson.
The 21 points, I figured you might go a little bit less just because their defense is so good.
It has been so good, but I'm really giving respect to Brentwood's offense, which is really also playing incredibly well right now.
Kari?
I saw Brentwood last week, and they came out and blocked a punt super early that ended up practically being the difference in the game. It was a tale of two halves with them. The second half I wasn't that impressed with Brentwood, but that's why I think Oakland's gonna put up 42 on them. It's gonna be 42-21 Oakland.
Okay. Raise your hand if you didn't pick a 42-21 score. Okay. George?
Yeah, I also have them winning, putting up 42 points. I do think I'm like Cecil. I like Brentwood's offense. I think they'll be able to put up some points, but I still have Oakland winning 42-28. Wasn't Oakland shut out in last year's state championship game?
2 years.
Semifinals. They were shut out in last year's semifinals. They shut out Whitehaven 2 years ago in the finals.
Okay, the semifinals. I think Oakland's thinking about that. There's probably some thought in their brain about that, about not being able to score in that semifinal last year. So, yeah, I think this is going to be all Oakland 42-28.
Aaron?
I thought about picking an Oakland shutout, but I figured I'd give Brentwood some more respect than that since they did make it to the state championship game. So I have them scoring 7 points. I have Oakland winning
Okay.
35-7.
And Michael Odom.
I have Jordan James having a big game, and Oakland wins 45-21.
Got an extra field goal. Coach Trey Turk gets to kick something. Mr. Spears.
Last week was a statement win for Oakland. I think they really showed that they are hands down the best team in the state, regardless of anything this year. Expect a lot of Jordan James. Like Cecil said, I think he probably has his best game of the year. I got him rushing for a ton of yards and Oakland winning 48-14.
I'm going to start with a Division II Single A. Davidson Academy playing USJ. Deja vu all over again. Rematch from last year. Michael Odom, what do you have?
I have USJ keeping it closer than the game earlier this year. They'll throw some new wrinkles. But in that first meeting, USJ rushed for 16 yards. That's it, 16. I think they'll get a little bit more than that. But
20? 20?
20. But my favorite name in football, Griffin Sweeney, will rush for over 200 yards again, and Davidson Academy will win 32-28.
The Swanea family appreciates you getting it right. Or as everyone else but you called it, Sweeney. So appreciate you getting Sweeney right this time. Inside joke, folks. Watch a bootleg earlier this season. Joe Spears.
Like you said, it's a repeat of last year. It's deja vu all over again, and it'll be Davidson winning again. I got them leading throughout. I think USJ may score once or twice in the fourth quarter, but Griffin Sweeney does it again like he did last year, and they win 30-20.
Cecil?
I'm putting 31 points up. I think USJ is going to keep it close early and play a solid game early, but too much Sweeney, too much Jared Vitito. It's hard to stop both of those guys. Davidson Academy rolls to another state title.
Aaron?
I have Davidson Academy winning 30-28. Griffin Sweeney runs for a touchdown late to give Davidson the win.
George?
I was sweating a little bit on Jared's last name. Everybody talks about Griffin Sweeney's last name, being able to pronounce that until Cecil just said it. So I'm cool now. But I think Jared Petito throws for more than 200 yards and Sweeney scores 3 touchdowns on the ground. So I'm going with Davidson Academy 35-14. I did say that right? That was quarterback's name. I didn't say that right. See?
I don't know.
See?
It was close. I think it was
I'm in my category.
You sped up the middle thing there. I think, but anyway, you were pretty close. You put a little more Italian into it, you know. So, it sounded, the way you said it made it sound a little Italian, but he's in a great year for him, and I'll talk about him in a minute. Kari.
Davidson Academy is going to stay perfect, 35-14. It's going to be a blowout.
I'm close to that. I'm going Davidson Academy 35-21 over USJ. Here's the thing with Jared Vitito. I think I got it right. He's an MTSU based.
That was quicker than mine.
Vitito, I believe.
Okay.
If not, I will hear about it on Twitter. He's a kid that did not play his junior year. Last year, he did not play football his junior year. His sophomore year, he was one of their top receivers with Stone Norton at quarterback. He would have been their starting quarterback in 2019 had he played. He chose not to. He wanted to focus, as he told me this week. He said it was a business decision. Well, it was a baseball business decision. He's a baseball player, a really good baseball player. He wanted to concentrate on baseball. I'm assuming that means a lot of travel tournaments and everything. And he did not play. He is since this year he's signed with MTSU, and he knew all along once he had his college baseball decision. Decided he was going to play he was going to play football. He missed it. He was in Cookeville watching them play a year ago in the championship game. I think as much as talented as Griffin Sweeney is running the football. I think Jared's going to have a big game. I'm saying 35-21. CPA and Lipscomb Academy, a rematch of a 20-14 Lipscomb win over CPA. Folks, I'm going to start with Kari, because I think everyone else is on that CPA wagon. Kari, what you got?
Give me Lipscomb by 2 touchdowns, man. I think Trent Dover can add II-AAA state championship right under that Super Bowl championship line on his resume.
So he'll have to decide on wearing a Super Bowl championship ring or a TSA championship ring.
Well, he'll wear the II-AAA championship ring and keep the Super Bowl championship ring tucked away. You know what I'm saying? The everyday ring is going to be the high school ring.
That's a good question. If he, that's a good question if they win. George,
I have CPA winning this 28-27 in probably the closest game of the state championship games, snapping Lipscomb's 10-game win streak, and getting a little bit of revenge from that 20-14 loss. So I think CPA's Mr. Football finalist, or not CPA's Mr. Football finalist, but Lipscomb's Mr. Football finalist will be held under 100 yards rushing in this game.
And that's Alex Broom, and he was a semifinalist. One correction, but he had a great game.
Okay.
He returned a opening kickoff in the first meeting. I am going to go ahead and go. I'm picking CPA over Lipscomb. I think this is probably, and it's the first game of the whole weekend. It's a 11 a.m. Central Time, Thursday. I think this is a game, if you're not going to, you better turn it on TV. I think this will be the best game of the 9 games. I think CPA wins this game, but it's a close game, 24-21, in a really great duel between 2 great teams. I think Langston Patterson. I just think the weather's going to be a little bit different, and I think their style of physical play. I think that's going to be the difference. They're going to be able to ground it out and maybe shorten the game some with their smash mouth style. Joe.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this might be best game of the weekend, so I agree with George on that front. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I've got CPA winning. I got Cade Law leading them on what would be the game-winning drive, and then hitting a late field goal to beat Lipscomb Academy 35-33.
Michael?
Final minute, Cade Law, Reed Williford, 28-27. Write it down.
Okay. Cecil?
I think weather is going to be a factor in this game. I think it's going to be raining when they play. I've seen CPA play in the rain. You do not want to face their defense in the rain, and that's what Lipscomb's going to find out the hard way. I think this game is going to be really close. There's going to be no field goals because of the weather. This is going to be good, hard-nosed defense. I think both defenses might set up touchdowns for each other, in fact. I'm going exact reversal of the first time they played. I'm going CPA 20-14.
Aaron?
I have CPA winning 23-20. I have them kicking a late field goal late in the game to win. I just think it's going to be low scoring for what Cecil just said with the weather.
Last game, Cawley, MUS. Kari, this is your game.
It is my game, and it's going to be MUS's title. It's going to be the first one in over a decade. You know what I'm saying? 35-28 MUS. That's my pick.
Okay. I've got something similar, but flips. I've got Macaulay, 35, MUS 14. I think they're Mr. Football finalist there, and his name just went away from me.
BJ Harris.
I think he's a Virginia or West Virginia commitment, I think.
Missouri.
Is he Missouri?
Ooh.
The Zoo. I think BJ Harris is probably a lot in the D2 AAA world that people don't understand that world. I think BJ Harris is probably underrated a lot more than people think. I mean, obviously you've got Dallas Hayden and he's had a great year, but I think BJ Harris has been something special the last couple of years. I think 35-14 Macaulay wins a second straight championship under Coach Ralph Potter. George?
Yeah, I really wanted to pick MUS. They play well all year this year. I know that they're carrying the Memphis flag going into these state championship games. But I just kept looking at McCallie, and every time I felt like I wanted to pick MUS, I just couldn't ignore McCallie. So I have them beating MUS in a fairly close game, 38-30.
Joe Spears?
Yeah, I think it'll be a great game. I think it'll be close throughout, but McCallie will score late, and then they get the game clinching stop on defense with under a minute to go.
And Michael?
I call it for McCallie 24-21 as the Blue Tornadoes win their 4th straight game this season.
And Cecil Joyce?
McCallie wins the state title last year, and this year all we've talked about, and that includes all of us, is Brentwood Academy, Brentwood Academy, Brentwood Academy. McCallie beat Brentwood Academy to get to this game. That's good enough for me. I'm going McCallie 27-20. BJ Harris has a huge night on the ground.
Brentwood Academy, Brentwood Academy, Brentwood Academy. This doesn't have the same ring as Oakland. But you are right. I think at the end of the day, I kind of, looking back, I think Brentwood Academy and McCallie were probably the best 2 teams in Division II AAA. I think McCallie had some COVID issues, had some injuries, and now that they're healthy, I think McCallie was definitely not a 3 seed. They ended up a 3 seed there. They were not. I think when they lost to Father Ryan, they had some people out. They got those people back at the right time and started clicking. And I think I think it's going to be a very good 3 days of football. It's going to be very cold 3 days of football, and we're going to get wet. But it's going to be a great 3 days of football. Aaron has joined us back one more time. I'm going to let you finish it out with the picks. McCallie, MUS.
I have McCallie winning 28-24. I think MUS tries to drive late for a game-winning touchdown, but then McCallie's able to stop him.
For those still watching, I'm going to do one thing I've never done in this. We're going to go around real quick and tell everyone how to follow us on Twitter. Of course, we'll be socialing, tweeting stuff throughout all 3 days, especially the games that involve our area teams. I'm going to start with Joe Spears. How do we follow Joe Spears?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Joe_Spears7, so I'll be helping out throughout the weekend.
Michael Odom?
You can follow me at JS Ryder Michael.
And Cecil?
Cecil_Joyce.
Okay. George?
Memphis fans can follow me. I'm scheduled to cover the MUS game, McCallie MUS game, so they can follow me at Cville_sports.
Kari?
Follow me at _Kari Thompson.
Aaron?
I use the Prep Extra account, so just follow at Prep Extra, PREPX, and then TRA.
Okay. Buddy does not have his own account, correct?
I still can't make one for him, unfortunately.
Good.
There's no parody accounts for Buddy?
There's no counts. Let's keep it that way. And of course, you can follow me at Krager. It's my last name, Kreager. Guys, I appreciate the time. It's a long show. We'll do a much quicker roundup of the games next week. Until then, thanks for watching the Bootleg presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Of course, we thank Farm Bureau Health Plans for their support each and every week. Without them, we cannot do fun shows like this. And of course, follow us all on Twitter. Watch for more updates throughout the week. We'll have it covered better than anyone else in the state. I guarantee it. I've seen the plan. We'll have stuff on every game. Till then, we'll see you next week.